Hello and welcome back to the channel. And the international break is still active, but as of now, most football fans are more interested in club football, and there's not really too much to talk about when it comes to club football. So instead, what we're going to do today is a tier list ranking the greatest ever, well, the last 15 to 20 FC Barcelona seasons, and some of those are the greatest ever. So we have here from 05, 06 up until 2023. I don't know who made this tier list, but I just don't think there's this season in it. So let's see what this guy's put in here. So we're gonna begin with 05, 06. 05, 06, we have the GOAT, legendary slash close to GOAT, great, good, meh, not too great, and then just absolutely hyper trash for Barcelona standards. So let's begin with 05, 06. 05, 06 is certainly not the GOAT because we're only going to put one season into the GOAT season. And it's certainly not the GOAT because it wasn't the best performance wise and it wasn't the greatest squad wise or accomplishment wise or trophy wise. But it was an absolutely great season for Barcelona because it was Ronaldinho's peak. It was the first Champions League they won since like 1992 during the Koeman era as a player. And it was upcoming Javi, upcoming Iniesta, and I'm pretty sure even though they won the UCL that season, Messi got injured in the round of 16 versus Chelsea, and Javi had an ACL injury that season. But it's still a legendary season that a Barcelona player won the Ballon d'Or, and the UCL was won, which is a rare occurrence for Barcelona apparently. Next, we go into 06, 07, and it really wasn't that great of a season for Barcelona. No Champions League win, and no La Liga win. Madrid won the league that season, and it was the beginning of the end for Frank Rijkaard's managerial era at Barcelona. So I'm gonna just put that at meh because it was still decent. It was a good squad. Eto'o was there, Ronaldinho was there, but it was just nothing special. Next, we have 07, 08. And once again, this is a just mess season because no Champions League for Barca. They got knocked out by Manchester United in the quarterfinal that year due to Paul Scholes' banger. They didn't win the league. Madrid won the league as well that season. So it's just like 07, 06, 07, just another miss season for Barcelona. And that was actually Frank Rijkaard's final season as manager. So it kind of correlates. So let's move on to 08, 09. And this is probably the season that you have to put in the GOAT category, even though for me it's not my favorite season as a Barca fan. But you just can't deny. For me, it wasn't their most dominant performance across the whole season, but 6 trophies in 1 year, the only team to ever do it, speaks for itself. The team speaks for itself. Prime Xavi, unreal versions of Messi and Iniesta. Thierry Henry was there. Eto'o was absolutely unreal in that team, and they had a lot of depth that season. They had Silvinho left back. They had Yaya Toure, who could play center back, CDM, you name it. They had Puyol, who could play right back or center back. PK, they also had it for center back as well. They had a bunch of midfielders in Seydou Keita, Xavi, Iniesta, Yaya Toure, as I said before, who could play there. Boyan Kirkic, Pedro was there as well. There was some absolutely unreal depth, and you just can't deny the dominance they had that season. So it just has to go into the GOAT, even though it's not my favorite personally. 09-10. I would love to put this in legendary slash close to GOAT, but if you're Barcelona, you basically require to win the Champions League for that because they've won Champions Leagues only 5 times ever. So to be in that category, you might as well win the Champions League. And they didn't do that in 2009, 2010, but that was a very dominant team. It was Pep Guardiola's second season as Barca manager. And to be fair, the way they lost in the semifinals to Inter was kind of like anti-football. Inter was just parking the bus, textbook. You can't do anything about it. It's very difficult. The referee was a bit interesting in that tie, but what can you do? It has to go in great. That was also one of Messi's most insane seasons, but they couldn't capitalize on it. Next, we go to 2010, 2011. Now, this for me personally is my favorite season for Barcelona for multiple reasons. It's probably my favorite version of Messi, and what I really liked about this team is that 8 of the 11 starters, 8 or 9, I'm pretty sure it was 8 or 9 of the 11 starters were all La Masia products. So they were free players produced by the club, and the manager and Pep Guardiola was basically from the academy because he came through Barca's ranks as a player, and he managed for the B team. So that has to be one of the greatest achievements in football history to be able to build the most dominant team in football history because the football they played that year was one of my favorite too. I think they were more dominant than 0809. To do that with basically free players that you created is just remarkable. But they didn't win the 6 trophies. It wasn't as accomplishing as the GOAT in 0809, but we have to put it here and the first one in legendary. Next we have 2011, 2012, and this one obviously Messi's peak as a footballer. That season and 2012, 2013 was Messi's peak as a footballer, but it was Pep's final season as a manager, and they didn't win the Champions League. I don't even think they won the Liga. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, Mourinho got the 100 points that season. So to have a version of Messi like that and to not capitalize on it just like 09-10 is kind of an upset. And the fact that they didn't win the Champions League again, this time to Chelsea, it was the same situation as Inter in 2010, where it was just park the bus, anti-football, counterattack, lose the game. It's unfortunate, but these are the reasons why you can't put it higher than what it actually is, which is great. Next, we have 12-13, and this was a season where Barca got absolutely hyper scraped by Bayern in the Champions League because obviously there were some issues with Barca's manager at the time, Tito Villanova, who had cancer, and it took a huge toll on the team. And they couldn't. They were struggling to really stay focused, but they did get 100 points in the league. They won it after Mourinho won it with Madrid the season before, and I would say it's a great season, even though they really got destroyed by Bayern. I would put it after these 2 seasons here. Next, we got 2013, 2014. Now, this was a whatever season for Barcelona. Didn't really compete in the Champions League. Messi got injured halfway through the season and really didn't have an impact. It was one of Javi's final seasons as a player, so he didn't really do too much. And to be honest, that team relied a lot on someone like Fabregas to take control of it. And it wasn't, it speaks for itself, it wasn't too great. They got beaten by Atletico Madrid in the Champions League. They didn't win the league. They got third or second, I'm pretty sure. I think it was second. And it was just a not great season for Barcelona. Then we go into 2014, 2015, the season after that not too great season. They obviously hired Luis Enrique. They signed Luis Suarez on a discount effectively after he bit Chiellini in the World Cup. And Neymar became a prominent figure in the team. Luis Enrique found out a formula because he didn't start too well. He found out a formula about how to make the team work, and they ended up winning their second ever treble. And that's why they put it in between 2010, 2011, and 06 because treble winning season, Messi, Suarez, Neymar were all absolutely unreal that season, especially Messi. That's one of his greatest peaks. So speaks for itself. Won the treble, dominated teams, remarkable starting 11, legendary. 2015-16, the season after that, it was unfortunate. It was another case of a team playing anti-football against Barcelona, as Atletico Madrid did that versus them in the Champions League, and they suffered the consequences. They couldn't break it down. It was just anti-football. But they did well in La Liga. They won La Liga, so I'd still put it in great. I'd put it. I don't know if I should put it before. I mean, 2013. I put it after that because in 2013 they got 100 points in the league, very dominant. But that season was a season Suarez won the Golden Boot. Messi and Neymar were still absolutely unreal. Iniesta, Busquets were unreal. Dani Alves was so good, but overall it was just they couldn't replicate what they did the year before in 2015. Next, let's go to 2016, 2017. That season, Barca. mean, they didn't win the league. They won Copa del Rey, but they did compete for the league. Obviously, they got robbed of a lot of goals that season against Real Betis, for example, where the ball was obviously over the line and the referee didn't call it. But it was still a very entertaining season. That was Neymar's final season. MSN still very strong, as they always were up until Neymar left. You have to put it in good because they did win at least a trophy. But it wasn't anything crazy. Then 2017, 2018. Now that season, Barca did win the league. Messi was absolutely dominant. And that season, they were supposed to go undefeated, but the last game of the season that Messi didn't play, it was versus Levante, and that was a game Barca didn't manage to get a draw or win against when they lost 5-4. But very strong season defensively, I should say. It was really just Messi and Suarez playing up top in a two-striker formation, Messi dropping, obviously, way more deep. But for the two trophies that they won, you should be putting this in great, but I mean, they didn't really do much. It has to be either great or good. I'll put it at good just because it wasn't a hype season, and it wasn't. There was no Neymar. It was like really tough for Barcelona. It wasn't really the greatest watch ever. It was a lot of hard fought games where it wasn't great football. Um, what I also forgot to mention about 2015, 2016, Barca won 5 trophies that season. And the only trophy they missed out on was the Champions League, so they had 5 of the 6. If they won the UCL that season, it could have been another sextuple. But anti-football, Atletico Madrid, what can you do? Next, we have 2018, 2019. Now, this season, it was unfortunate because Messi, it was another one of Messi's absolute peaks. He dominated everything. But as a team, Barcelona were absolutely atrocious. Barca won the league that season again because of Messi's brilliance, of course. He got them to the semifinal of the Champions League with a 3-0 advantage against Liverpool, and they still managed to throw it, which is an absolute disgrace once again. And like if you watch Barcelona, if you watch Messi, even if you're a fan of Barcelona overall, you really have to take yourself out from that situation and just truly feel bad for Messi because what he did that season was just through the roof spectacular. But the team threw it. Ernesto Valverde was a poor manager. He couldn't handle pressure, and that's why you have to put it in a mess season, regardless of if they won the league, because they didn't win the Copa del Rey. They lost it to Valencia, I'm pretty sure. I mean, you could also put it in good, but it was just too poor, and that's why Valverde got sacked. So we could put that here because they did win the league here before 05, before 06, 07. I could switch these. 1920. Now 1920 is the one where it just goes into hyper trash. It was the beginning. It was the first half of the season was the last few months of Ernesto Valverde's era at Barcelona, and Barca were just poor. Then he got sacked in like November, October, or whatever it was, and they hired Quique Setien. Quique Setien came in, Barca was just making a million passes a game, but scoring 1 goal a game. And it was really just a dead season, no hype. Messi was actually very good that season. People like were underrating him because he got 20 goals and 20 assists, well, plus. But other than that, Griezmann had a weird role. It was Suarez's last season at Barcelona. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it was. It was like whatever. Valverde came in. They were changing managers. They changed managers. Both managers came in. Didn't really do much. Then at the end of the season, it was COVID came in. They didn't play football for like 4 or 5 months. They come back to the UCL. They beat Napoli at home. They go to Lisbon to play Bayern, and they get absolutely steamrolled 8-2. And that is why it has to go into hyper trash. I don't even think they won a trophy that year, if I can remember correctly. Not even Copa del Rey. So it was just hyper trash. Next, let's go into 2020, 2021. Now, that season, Barca did win Copa del Rey, but it was just another season of Messi carrying. Pedri came in and was pretty good as well, but performance-wise, it wasn't the greatest. they had like 1 or 2 games under Koeman where they played well, like that 6-1 win against Sociedad, and the comeback, the 2 or 3 comebacks they made in the Copa del Rey run. But other than that, for it's just gonna go on not too great because it's either gonna go on meh or not too great because they didn't really do anything. They were just like whatever. I'll put it in mid because they did win a trophy, but like the only thing that's carrying these other 2 teams in meh in 06, 07, and 07, 08 is the fact that they had a good, entertaining team. Because they didn't win trophies, I'm pretty sure. I'm not sure if they won the Copa del Rey that season, those 2 seasons. But what can you do? Um, Next we have 2020, 2021. Now this is a season that they sacked Koeman in like November, and then they brought in Xavi, and I'm pretty sure they didn't win a trophy that season at all. But I'm gonna put it, so it's not hyper trash, but I'm gonna put it in not too great because, to be honest, some of the games under Xavi they were entertaining. They beat Madrid 4-0. They beat Napoli, I'm pretty sure, by a good amount, and it was it was a bit exciting because Xavi came in as a manager. Barca legend came in, and he did have some very good football, but it just didn't come to any fruition. Nothing came out of it, and that's why you put it back here. And finally, we end on 2022, 2023. I mean, Javi's second season, it was actually pretty good. They won the league, but it was a bunch of 1-0 wins. It was a bunch of like just 1-0 scraping wins. They did beat Madrid in the Super Cup in Germany that season. I mean, in Saudi Arabia. I don't know why I said Germany. So I guess that puts into the good category, but nothing special from Barcelona. I don't know why they didn't have last season here, 23, 24, but I'd just put that in meh because Barca didn't really win anything. Um, but yeah, I guess that's about it. 2023, they won the league, whatever. Hopefully this year Barca can just dominate. But I guess that's it for today's video. Hopefully enough people watch it so they can have an input on what I've said about Barcelona's history, modern history. And if you have any comments about Barcelona, let me know. I could answer them in the next video. But for now, peace.